Hi friends, Cole here. Thanks for joining me. And going to explore using some props to support us in sorting out some back pain. So I am not, I know that I'm not alone in having back pain. I tend to get it in my SI joint low back. I'm going to show you a few of the things that have helped me, not just in my low back, but in my neck and shoulders and upper back as well. And I think that props can really support us. So what I have today is I have a couple blocks. I have a strap. You can grab a belt, you can grab a scarf, and then I have a bolster here. You can grab a pillow, you can roll up a towel or a blanket as well. So those are some things to use. Let's start with our hands on the knees. We're just gonna do some simple spinal spirals. Start really small. I think it was Joseph Pilates that says something to the tone of that it's not your biological age that matters, but it is the health of your spine. So we want to move our spine in all directions every day if possible to keep it flexible and malleable, mobile. Then go around the other direction, but go really big here. So maybe even bend the elbows, exaggerate it, make it a little bit dramatic. And then the other side this way. See if you can round the upper back. I'm definitely getting some creaks and cracks right out of the gate. And then come to stillness. Let's take the strap, AKA scarf or belt, whatever you have, and take the hands above the head. So you'll find what, not stance, but what grip, what width you'd like your hands at. So I'm gonna take mine a little bit wider. So what we wanna do is to draw the shoulder blades towards one another on the back, like you're gonna squeeze an orange, you're gonna make orange juice, shoulder blade orange juice, and then pull apart at the strap at the same time that the shoulder blades are pulling in on one another. So I can feel quite a bit of activation here. This also gets some stretch in the brachial plexus, which is fun to say. All right, now we're going to bring this behind us if it's available to you. If it feels quite intense, you might widen the grip even more, but still be actively pulling away. And see if you can bring the strap behind you. Maybe you'll feel some creaks and cracks, and then bring it back up and around. And if it feels too simple, then bring your grip in. Again, really taut in the strap. Inhale, come up, and then exhale, come back. And maybe you just come back a little bit. Whew. See, this feels, even though I'm not coming all the way down, this feels much more productive to me. So find a productive spot. You can feel this a lot in the front of the body. And a lot of our back pain, oh my. A lot of our back pain, especially the upper back pain, comes from our pectoral front of the body. So you might find a really good stretch here. So just exploring. A couple more rounds of breath. Actively pulling apart with the hands, pulling together with the shoulder blades. And then we're going to lean over towards the right. So bring the hands up and then lean over towards the right. Begin to tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin, and we're going to bring the left hand down as we move over towards the left side. Move everything over. Keep the left hand down as the right arm lifts, and then come up. Let's go back the other way. Exhale, lean to the left. Heart spirals down, right hand spirals down. Move it all the way over towards the right. Right hand stays where it is as the left arm lifts, heart spirals, and inhale, come up. Do this once more at your own pace. Maybe it's a little bit more fluid than that. come back up to center and release it down. Move the shoulders back and then give them some rotations forward. All right. So one more exploration with the strap, and I'm going to turn around so you can see what this looks like. Let's bring the left arm up, and then the elbow lifts, the hand comes down. And then the left arm, we're going to bring it behind and grab for the strap. So even if you can reach the hands together, that'll be available for some of us, I don't want you to. I want you to grab a hold of the strap because we can pull away. So even if the hands are touching, have a hold of the strap and then separate the elbows as if the elbows were going in opposite directions. Should feel quite a bit of activation if you're actively pulling. Roll the shoulders back so you can broaden the heart center, even here. One more inhale, I'm trying to get back to my perch. And then exhale, release. Take a few rounds of breath just to feel sensation. So I'm feeling like a pretty hot release of tension in my arms. You might be having a totally different experience. It doesn't make it right or wrong. It makes it your experience or my experience. Let's do this on the other side. This time the left arm will lift, bend at the elbow. Right hand comes behind and grab for the strap as close to the other hand as you can. Maybe even walk in. So a tendency here is to really bend. See how I'm really bending my back? We don't really want to do that. So maybe you do it in the beginning just to grab the strap, but then lengthen the tailbone down, shoelace the low ribs together, knit the low ribs together so that you have a steady core there, stable core. Then pull the heart center forward as the elbows reach in opposite directions. Actively pull apart at the strap. Likely there's lots of sensation happening, and send big breath to that big sensation. Match it. One more inhale. Whew. And exhale, release. Take a moment just to feel into this. Let yourself feel what you feel. Yeah, very interesting sensation. Feels good. All right. Let's go into this myofascial stretch. You might love it, or you might not like me after it, but it's beneficial. So what we're going to do is that we're going to get into kind of our lats here. So this will create a lot of space for us. This is another place where we tend to get a lot of tension, and then it pulls on other parts of our back. So we're all connected. Often when we're tight in one place, it pulls everything over, but it feels like we're tight over here, but it's because, our fascia, our muscular system has been pulled to one side. So sometimes that's why we're working in a place where you might not on face value know why we're there. All right, so it's not up in your armpit, it's not on your rib cage, it's kind of right there in the middle, and trust me, you'll feel it when you get there. You're gonna put your block longwise, and then kind of play around. And you can take your head to your hand. This will kind of be light version. Maybe you extend the bottom arm and rest your head down, or maybe even onto a block. This will put a little bit more weight. So you kind of play around with this until you find where you can feel some productivity. And then option, you can stay completely still. I have my legs bent. This helps with foundation. You can stay completely still and steady your breath, send breath to sensation. Or some of you, will like to roll a little bit forward and a little bit back, and you're exploring where the adhesions are. And then once you find a spot, stay there and really focus on big breath. When we come up against edginess, our nervous system kind of wants to go on high alert and it wants to hold the breath, which actually makes us tighter. So what we want to do is we want to come up on it slowly and then slow and steady our breath. And that is what begins to let us in that adhesion. So find somewhere sustainable to work, not at the most intense spot. If you like visualizations, if they're helpful, you can also imagine when you find a spot of imagining ice slowly melting into water, and that water slowly evaporating into air. Three more rounds of breath. Every exhale, melting down, letting gravity have you. And then bringing the left hand down into the ground, push into the left hand to lift yourself up, and then twist towards the right. Just taking a twist here. Lengthen the heart up, 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 open throat, open the eyes to the ceiling. And then maybe even twist a little bit more towards the right, kind of pressing the hands towards the left to get a little bit more, as if you were gonna like come around and bite your back foot or lick it. And then slowly release. Come back to center, take a couple rounds of breath in observation. Switch sides. You may be really into this. Again, you may not. So find somewhere sustainable to work. You don't have to go to the most intense spot. I recommend that you don't. Because again, we want to be able to work with it. And often the most tense spots we aren't able to work with because the body is too patterned to tighten. So this is going to be a completely different side. So be curious as you go in. Don't go to the exact same spot. I've already found an absolutely different spot here. Sometimes you can use the edges of the block too. Side note, sometimes the cork blocks are much better. The cork blocks are more stable, but for certain like kind of myofascial type stuff, yin type stuff, they can be a little rigid. So if you have a foam block, it's going to be kinder in this regard. Slowly finding where you want to be. Be sure the legs are bent, helps with foundation. Head can be in hand or you can fully relax down. And you can also roll a bit if you're really getting after it. I normally can't. I can a little bit today. Normally I'm watching other people in class. If I'm in a public class, I remember one of my teachers, Denise Payne, is who introduced this to me. She does lots of myofascial release stuff, different types of poses like this using tennis balls and blocks. But I used to be just so tense because I was really strong then. Had a very, very strong asana practice then. But what happens when we get really strong is that we get tighter and our muscles shorten. So doing stuff like this was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. So I'd watch other people like moving on their block and I was like sadist. But now my practice is quite a bit softer. All of our practices shift. I'm not as strong in my practice as I used to be, but I have more pliability and openness in my muscles. So there's always a give and take. A couple more rounds of breath. And then place the right hand down. Press up to lift your torso and then take a twist towards the left. Press down into the ground, lift the heart, open the throat, lift the gaze, and then kind of shift the hands towards the right. Gaze over the left shoulder as if you're going to nibble on your toes. Oh, this actually feels excellent. One more in-breath. And release. All right. Take a few rounds of breath to observe. We're going to come down onto the belly. Tent the fingers up on both sides. Lift the knees and lengthen the legs. Kind of shimmy the hips down and then shimmy the toes back. Press down into the earth and actually bring the hands fully down. Press down into the earth, elbows stay bent. Press the pubic bone down, really important. Press the pubic bone down, lengthen the tailbone down to the back of the mat. If we don't do this, then we risk exacerbating that low back pain and the SI if you already have some of that. If you do, you know what I mean. The lengthening of the tailbone can really help. All right, so on an exhale, we're gonna drop the right shoulder and gaze towards the left. Stay here for a round of breath, gazing over the left shoulder. Re-engage the pubic bone down to the ground as you lift back up, inhale. And then exhale towards the left. Left shoulder comes down, gaze over the right shoulder. Now you can continue to move at this pace with a breath in between, or you can move fully with breath, your choice. But we'll go for a few rounds. Continue to lengthen the tailbone as you press the pubic bone down into the ground. Once more to center, and then walk the hands forward and lengthen the arms if it feels okay. Roll the shoulders back, heart center forward, seal pose. The feet can be separate. Toes, tops of the feet planting down into the ground, and then a really firmly rooted pubic bone. Imagine you could lift your tailbone up to touch your belly button. It can be a strange visualization, but you're kind of curling it up. As you lift the heart, lift throat, gaze up, and release. Press into the hands, sit the hips back to the heels. All right, one last pose here. I'm gonna give you a couple options because some of you, not all of us may have blocks, and it's just a different feel, yeah? We can go to different levels of this. We're gonna do a supported fish. So, I'll give a couple different options. For a more easeful option, kind of a less intense, we'll lay back on the bolster. So you can take it longwise and saddle up your bum right next to it and then lean back. So this is a pretty sharp curve right here, which won't feel good for many of us. So then bring the soles of the feet on the ground, lift up and put a bolster, put another pillow or a block right there, and then that can really help. You can spread the arms wide. The knees can stay bent, or you can lengthen them long, or you can bring soles of the feet together, knees wide, your choice. So bolsters come in all different sizes. If you're on a rolled up towel or blanket, you likely may not need this block, your choice. If you want to intensify it, then you can use the bolster, you can use the blocks. In this case, the block's going to be this way, long ways, tall ways. And you're going to put the bottom of the block where your bra strap would be were you to wear one, where you imagine it would be. And then slowly lower down. The block likely will kind of be, you can hold onto your head, likely will be kind of in between your shoulder blades. And then some people are fine with laying their head back. I like to have a block on the next lower edge to catch my head. In this case, if I still have that bolster handy, I might bring it underneath my knees. Yeah, this feels good. Supported fish. Arms, wherever you want them to be. I like to put my palm up. And then now let gravity have you, but maybe once more before you do. Lift the tailbone up and lengthen the low back down and then lay it back down. Maybe do the same with the cervical curve. So maybe you pick the head up and kind of lengthen that curve a bit. You can do the same with the Achilles curve. I don't know if that's a thing, but lift up the heels and then kind of shoot energy arrows out the heels and lay them back down. Just kind of creating a little bit of length in all the curves. I'm gonna stay here for about a minute. So if you're breathing deep and slow, which I encourage you to, it might be a 5 count inhale, a 5 count exhale. About 6 of those will take us to a minute, give or take. This is a great place to imagine the ice melting into water and the water evaporating into air. Another cycle of breath, big. And, there's no graceful way to get out of this. So just be mindful as you roll onto one side. And slowly find your way up into a seat. And again, a couple rounds of observational breath. Oof. It's got a little pop release. And then maybe a few spirals of the spine again to close out. Big inhale, reach the arms overhead and then take a little reach of each hand like you're pulling up on a rope. Get a little extra space in the side body before we close out. And then both hands reach up, 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 up. Hands come together, exhale, bring the thumbs down to the third eye. Big inhale and gratitude and thanks for this practice and this space to create self-relationship. And then exhale, bow forward as you say, thank you, Suksama, namaste, whatever feels alive for you. Excellent. Well, I feel better. I hope that you found some benefit in that as well. Please let me know what you enjoyed and take what worked, leave the rest. No need to have fully enjoyed the whole sequence, but I hope that you found a few in there that resonated in your body. I will see you next time on your mat. I'm here every Tuesday with YOGATX. If you want to learn more about me, I got lots going on all the time. There's a link in the bio. I will see you next time. Ciao.